Let us take a look at another Hall of Famer. So I haven't done a Hall of Famer video and for a few days now, and I thought, you know what, we're on the weekend, so there's going to be a little bit less to report than there will be probably on Monday. There's a lot of guys getting cut, but we haven't seen any big names getting cut yet, anybody major on waivers. So let's talk about Peter Forsberg. Peter Forsberg, who was drafted in the first round by the Philadelphia Flyers and got traded to the Colorado Avalanche, then the Quebec Nordiques, in exchange for, that's right, Eric Lindros. It was not a one-for-one deal. Philadelphia threw a whole bunch else in there. And you have to ask yourself, if Philadelphia doesn't make that trade, do they win a Stanley Cup? They didn't when they got Lindros. Do they win it if they'd kept Forsberg and all the pieces that they traded to get Lindros? His rookie year, 94-95, a lockout shortened season. He plays 47 games, 15 goals, 35 assists, 50 points. In the playoffs, the final playoffs for the Quebec Nordiques, 6 games played, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. He ends up with the Calder Trophy that year's Rookie of the Year. 95-96. He plays 82 games, 30 goals, 86 assists, 116 points. In the playoffs for Colorado, 22 games played, 10 goals, 11 assists, 21 points. Stanley Cup. So Forsberg made his name quickly, got to a Stanley Cup quickly as well, and the debate between Lindros and Forsberg is well joined by Forsberg. 96-97, he only plays 65 games. He misses 14 games with a bruised thigh, and it goes into the playoffs. He misses 3 playoff games. So he plays 65 games, 28 goals, 58 assists, 86 points. In the playoffs, he plays 14 games, 5 goals, 12 assists, 17 points. So he's a point-a-game player at worst, and at best he is, a 100-point scorer, but we're already seeing injuries start creeping in. 97-98, he plays 72 games, 25 goals, 66 assists, 91 points. In the playoffs, he plays 7 games, 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points. Always solid numbers from Peter Forsberg. 98-99, he plays 78 games, 30 goals, 67 assists, 97 points, 19 games played in the playoffs, 8 goals, 16 assists, 24 points. And it's in 99-2000 that it really starts hitting. And one criticism, if you can take it as that, is that as Forsberg got older and he started suffering through injuries, he didn't change his style at all. So where some players will ease off a little bit and maybe they don't play as hard, not Forsberg, wasn't in his game. So he misses 23 games with shoulder surgery in 99-2000, ends up playing 49 games, 14 goals, 37 assists, 51 points. Plays 16 games in the playoffs, 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points. 2000-2001, he's playing through some ailments at this stage. 73 games played, 27 goals, 62 assists, 89 points. In the playoffs, he played 11 games, got 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points. He's credited with getting a Stanley Cup, rightfully so, but he didn't play after May 9th with a ruptured spleen. Brutal. So 2000-2001, he goes on a leave of absence. He declares he's not playing. Very similar to what Zetterberg has done this year, and then Zetterberg gave up. Forsberg did not. Forsberg, while he's going through the process, they discovered that his foot really badly needed surgery. All right. So he misses the entire 2001-2002 season. Comes back for the playoffs. So they announce he'll be back in time for the playoffs. Plays 20 games, 9 goals, 18 assists, 27 points, basically on one foot. And this is when we start discussing, well, how much longer is he going to play? So while that conversation's going on, 2002-2003, he plays 75 games. 29 goals, 77 assists, 106 points. Again, on one foot. He wins the Hart Trophy and the Art Ross. 7 games in the playoffs, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. 2003-2004, his foot continues to have him sitting out. He also misses 19 games with groin and abdominal injuries, and he's missing a lot of time. So he plays 39 games, 18 goals, 37 assists, 55 points. So as basically half of a man at this point, he's still putting up enough points per game to get about 110 in a full season. In the playoffs that year, he plays 11 games, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. The lockout arrives. While Teemu Selanne's taking time off and saying, well, this will save my career, he goes home and plays in Modo. And Peter Forsberg has surgery after dislocating his left wrist and breaking a bone in his hand. So, while, as I said, future Hall of Famer Solani is taking the opportunity to rest during the lockout, Forsberg's like, I got to play hockey, and goes home and plays and gets hurt. Just the way he plays the game. And notice these injuries aren't all related to each other. The foot's an ongoing issue, but he has injuries elsewhere. This is why a player gets labeled as injury prone. It's not that there's one part of their body. The way they play hockey, they end up getting hurt a lot. So he ends up going to Philly. So the great Peter Forsberg, Colorado, lets him go to Philly. In Philly, he plays 60 games in 05-06, 19 goals, 56 assists, 75 points. Plays 6 games in the playoffs, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. 2006-2007, again, he's dealing with some injuries, plays 40 games, 11 goals, 29 points, or 29 assists, 40 points overall. He ends up getting traded to the Nashville Predators at the deadline. The Predators are all in 2007. They've decided this is their year. They have to win it. They end up getting 51 wins that year. Forsberg plays 17 games for Nashville. 2 goals, 13 assists, 15 points. He is not the same player. So Nashville's done everything they can to go all in. Forsberg's not the same player. In the playoffs, 7 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. Definitely not the same player he was. So Nashville rolled the dice, and they lost. He signs as a free agent with the Colorado Avalanche. I was going to say Rockies. I don't know why. Colorado Avalanche. Plays 9 games in 07-08. 1 goal, 13 assists, 14 points. Again, with his foot. But in the playoffs, he had 5 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points in Nashville. In Colorado the following year, he had 7 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. So 12 games combined between those 2 seasons and 9 points. He's not the same player. 2008-2009, he only plays 2 games. He puts up an uncharacteristic -4 in those 2 games, doesn't get a point, and declares he needs time off. Doesn't officially retire. He tried to come back in February of 2011, but on the day he was supposed to come back, the day that they were saying, okay, Forsberg's coming back, and they had all the Colorado fans excited about it, he actually retired on February 14th of 2011. Ends up in the Hall of Fame in 2014. He's 4th career in assists per game behind Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, and Bobby Orr. That's a pretty good 3 guys to be behind. First team All-Star in 98, 99, and 2003. The career of Peter Forsberg, in how that this goes through and he gets into the Hall of Fame, is part of the reason why we see guys now getting into the Hall like Lindros, Bure, Neely. It's something that didn't used to happen, where if a guy has an injury-shortened career, they just don't get in the Hall. They're not considered to have the point totals. They're not considered to have had enough games. That's changed. That's changed over the last 10 years, and I think it's a change for the better. Forsberg definitely, if not for injury, would have scored probably about 1,500 points in his career. He's a guy that, as history gets further away from his era, he won't be remembered in the same vein as an Yzerman, or even, I would think, a Ron Francis. And yet, he was a very dynamic forward. He was one of the best passers in the history of the game. And he was also one of the toughest SOBs that ever played, because basically he's playing after career-ending injuries in 01-02. 2002, at that point, I would say most players would say, I'm done. I don't want to be crippled. I want to be able to walk when I'm in my 50s. Forsberg powered through it and kept playing. So while I may not have been a fan of the Avalanche teams that won Stanley Cups, I never had anything but respect for Peter Forsberg in the game he played. So there you go. The career of Peter Forsberg in the NHL, Hall of Famer, and quite the career he put up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.